Okay, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. We're up to Daf Tesam Aleph by Itmar, by the two dots. It's towards the middle. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Abshol? Yeah?
I'm saying it was yesterday. It was not so. It just you have to go through it.
It's not hard. No, it's not hard. I agree. You know, I find that also it's easier than Zvachim because, first of all, we're already familiar with the concepts. And also, it's just easier. I feel it's easier.
Well, I think it's more simplistic. The mincha is a more simplistic.
Kmitza and Daktara.
Because it's the flour of barley.
Yeah.
And the four basic avodas, there is an extensive preparation, and the variations are opposed to a simple model.
Makes sense. Okay, let's see. Itmar. Okay, blola chutz l'chaymas azara. So the way it works with the mincha is, you bring it to the Beis HaMikdash, you pour shemen into a keli, a kli sharis, then you pour a little bit of the flour, and then more shemen, and then you boil it. So after you put it all in, all the ingredients, you took it outside of the azara, and you mixed it. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Psula, Shlaksham, Kshera. But like Rabbi Yochanan, Shlaksham, rather the blula, the mixing has to happen in the azara. Shlaksham, Kshera, Dechsev, Yotzak, shemen, V'nosna, Levoina, V'hadev, V'yel, B'nei kind of a kametz. Afterwards, after you put all the ingredients into the keli and you mix it, that's when you bring it to Bnei Aaron HaKahanim to do the kmitza. So the kmitza ve'elach mitzvahs kahuna. Only the kmitza from the kmitza and onward, that's when you'd kayin. Limit al yitzika ubelila shekatcherin bizar, which means before the kmitza, just putting it into a klisharis and mixing it, that's kosher bizar. And with the kahuna leibai, says the Gemara, says Rish Lakish, pnim nami leibai. It doesn't need pnim. If it doesn't need a kayin for the belila, it also doesn't need to be in the azara, and therefore, if it's balala, chutz l'chemis azara, it's okay. Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Psula kim das yasa b'klihu. Rabbi Yochanan says it's possible because the asiyah of the mincha, the yitzika, and the belila has to be done in a kli sharis. So even though nehida kahuna loibayi, you don't need to do it with a kayin, but since it has to be done in a kli sharis, you got to stay inside the azara pnim miyos bayi. Tanya kaf say to Rabbi Yochanan, a raya to Rabbi Yochanan. Gemara says a brayso below zar ksheira, even though when a zar mixes it, it's kosher. Chutz l'chaymas azara psula. But if you do it outside the azara, then it's pasul. Okay, next machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Shlakish. Itmar mincha shechasra koidim kmitza. Exactly. It's chaser even before kmitza. Yeah, you bring the soilers. Isaron, right? You bring an isaron. Put it into a keli, now it's missing some of it. Go back to your pantry in a house and bring some more soilas. You put it in and you refill it, or you fill it up. No good. Once it hits the klisharis, then that's it. If you're missing part of it, it's too late. Before kmitza, right, it's not really registered as a mincha. Yeah, you have the ingredients in the klisharis, you have the raw ingredients. But it's not registered as a mincha yet, it doesn't have a shem mincha, and therefore you can refill it, or you can fill it up with more flour from your pantry. You're not allowed to do that. Kedushas kli kavale. Once you put it into kli sharis, the kedusha of a kli is already nikdash. You know what I find interesting? In the previous machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan said, once it comes into a keli, you can't mix it outside the azara, which sounds like, according to Rabbi Yochanan, the kli is makadosh it already. And Shlokah says, no. If it's ksheira bizarre, you can do it outside also, even once it comes in a kli. Here, when it's missing, it seems like the opposite. Rish Lakish says, no, kedushas kli kavale. Yeah, you can't. You're not allowed to refill it from your house. And Rabbi Yochanan says you could. I'm not sure exactly how to make sense of that.
Yeah, the Beis HaMikdash,
Is whether what?
The Beis HaMikdash is called to lay mechitzas by someone who brings up to a bama yochid.
Yeah.
And then he chefs it outside chutz.
Yeah.
And then he brings it outside.
Yeah, the whole sugi we had in the end of Zvachim. Katua mechitzas. Yeah. Yeah, so it could be katua mechitzas over here.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's not Rabbi Yochanan's lashon. Rabbi Yochanan's lashon by chutz l'chaim sazar is because kima da asiyasa biklihu. He says because it already came into a kli sharis, not because katua mechitzas, not because it was inside, but since it needs a kli sharis, must be that there's a hakpada to keep it inside. It sounds like there's a connection with the keli. You want to say that's just a way of saying that it came into the azar. That's your tiny.
It's totally the
Okay. That would be a teretz. Okay. Says the Gemara. So Machlekes Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish again, this last Machlekes we just learned, if part of the mincha is missing, whether you can refill it before Kmitza from soilus from your house. Esav Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan says that you could. And he brings a raya, not like Rish Lakish who says you cannot. Okay. Why? Because it says in a goyim, by a shemen, the lake shemen of Mitzayra, chaser haloig. What if part of the shemen of the loig was nishpach, spilled, and now you're missing some of it? Imat shelo yotzak, if it's before the kohen spritzed from the shemen onto the Mitzayra, or even before that, the halach is, huh?
Yeah, Metzora.
Imat shelo yotzak.
למדנו מצורע ששמה
The kohen has to pour it into a left hand.
מנחת מצורע זה רק שמן, אתה זוכר?
רק שמן, כן.
רק שמן.
רק שמן.
חדש מצורע. חדש מצורע.
The process of the tahara of Mitzayra.
מיצה זה בשמן, רק בשמן.
רק בשמן. אין סולת, אין לבוינה.
כלום.
כן. משהו מוזר, כן. יפה.
It's hard
Yeah.
to conceive it though.
Yeah.
Because it's liquid.
Liquid. So how do you do it? So the truth is you don't do it like a regular kmitza.
Yeah.
The way you do it is the kohen pours it into the left hand of another kohen.
Yeah.
And that's how it's done.
לא, למדנו שיש שני דברים. יש אחד התוספות יום טוב אומר שמשתמשים בכלי קטן כזה.
כן.
אתה זוכר?
Loig. You put it into a loig.
איך עושים קמיצה בקמיצת
במה? בלוig שמן?
קמיצה מצורע.
כן.
זוכר?
בלח, כן.
זה מצורע.
תזכיר לנו, נו.
התוספות יום טוב אומר, היה כלי מסוים, היה כלי כזה שאתה איתו, הרי איך אתה יכול לעשות קמיצה?
Yeah.
מה, אתה עושה ככה לשמן?
נו.
אז התוספות יום טוב אומר, זוכר, למדנו שמביא שהיה איזה כלי מסוים כזה שאתה, כאילו, זה השחיטה, כאילו זה עושה את
אהה.
ולמדנו שהיה עוד
אינטרסנט.
מפרש אחד אומר שהשמן היה כל כך סמיך,
כן.
אז מספיק שהיית עושה לו ככה, אז זה היה נשאר
באצבע. כן, כן. אז בסדר, אבל הפסוק אומר, מביאים את זה פה, שהכהן צריך לשפוך קצת ביד, בכף השמאלת של כהן אחר, ואחר כך טובל אצבעו בשמן, בכף השמאלת של כהן אחר, וככה משפריץ, you like that word? משפריץ על המצרים.
So there's no keli there?
It could be the kelis beforehand, that Reb Shoel is talking about, maybe the keli beforehand, but where you first have to place it into a klisharis, into a loig, into one of those measuring cups. But after you put it into the loig, to this keli, now you have to pour it into the kafa smolis of a different kohen, and then the kohen can take it from the kafa smolis with his etzba and spritz on the mitzayra.
It's like a modified kmitza.
It's a modified kmitza because it's liquid. So the question is, what happens if ktsas of the loig, a little bit of the loig went missing? So imat shelo yotzak, if it's before the kohen poured it into the kafa smolis of a different kohen, yimalenu, you can still refill it. So you see that you could still refill it before the kmitza, not like Rish Lakish, tiyufta, taka, kasha, and Rish Lakish, and pashtus, the halach is like Rabbi Yochanan, who says that mincha shechas rekoidim kmitza, you could just refill it from your house. Itmar, nocha machlokas Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Shirayim.
זה לא קורבן. שם למדנו שהמצורע מביא קורבן, ככה הוא מביא קורבן.
כן.
פה לא מדובר על הקורבן.
בשמן.
פה מדובר שאני חושב על נתינת השמן זה לטהרתו, נכון?
כן.
זה לפני שנותן הכהן מהשמן על גופו של המצורע, על גופו של המצורע.
כן.
זה לא...
It's not what you were talking about. You were talking about, yeah.
שם דיברנו על הקרבת
Correct. Yeah.
פה יוצק שמן על גופו של
בסדר.
המצורע.
כן.
ויוצק ממנו לתוך כפו השמאלית של כהן אחר.
כן.
נתינת השמן על המצורע נעשית על זה טבילת אצבעו הימין של הכהן הראשון לתוך השמן וכף ידו של הכהן האחר.
כן, וטובל אצבעו.
וניתנו
כן.
על המצורע.
נכון. אתנו. Next מחלוקת. שיריים.
הנה. עכשיו אתה תלמד, אתה תדבר על זה. עכשיו הוא יסביר את ההבדל בין המנחה של מצורע.
Okay, Lamazen. Itma shirayim shechasru ben kmitza la'aktara. What happens after the kmitza, between the kmitza and the aktara, right in the middle of the avodah? The kohen does the kmitza, and then he's walking to the mizbeach, to do the aktara with that kmitza. He's holding it and he's walking to the mizbeach. The shirayim that's still in the kli, the leftovers, right? He didn't take the whole soilus in his hand. So the leftover is nechal kehanim, right? Once the aktara happens. But what happens before the aktara? Some of the shirayim went missing. Ooh. Rabbi Yochanan Omer Makta Kaimitz Alein. You could still proceed, follow through with the Haktara's Kmitza. There are Shlokish Omer Ein Makta Kaimitz Alein. Ooh, if the shirayim is missing, even a little bit of the shirayim is missing, can't continue with the avodah. Now, says the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer Klamalei Pligi, Travada, you could continue. Rabbi Eliezer clearly says a Tana, right? So Rabbi Yochanan can't argue with Rabbi Eliezer.
למדנו אם כהן יכול להשתמש בשיריים.
אחרי הקטורה או אחרי הקמיצה?
אחרי הקמיצה.
אם כבר יכול להשתמש עם השיריים, אסור, לא? צריך מהקטורה קודם. אבל פה, צס מהשיריים נחסר, it's missing, between the kmitza and הקטורה, could you follow through and finish up? So according to Rabbi Eliezer, look, pligi, that you could. Keep legal liberty to be sure that says you can't. That none. Nitma shireo, or nisr for shireo, or of the shireo. Let's say the shirayim went completely missing. Yeah? It's gone. The whole shirayim is gone before you're able to be mak to the kaimitz, the kmitza. Kemidas Rabbi Eliezer, ksheira. If you hold like Rabbi Eliezer by Zvachim, who says, after you did the Kabbalah Saddam before the Zrika, the Basar and the Murim went missing, he says, ksheira, you could still do the Zrika, so by Mincha also. If the whole shirayim went missing, you could still follow through with the Aktaras Kmitza. Kmitza Rabbi Shua, Psula. But if you hold like Rabbi Shua, it'd be Pasal. So man the Pasal, if you hold like a Shlokish, that you cannot continue and follow through with the Avodah, if part of the shirayim went missing after the Kmitza, that he holds like Rabbi Shua. Man the Machshir, what is Rabbi Yochanan going to say? How could it be Machshir according to Rabbi Yeshua? Rabbi Shua says clearly it's Pasal. So he'll make a chiluk. When did Rabbi Yeshua say over there that the mincha that's gone missing, you cannot continue with the aktaras kmitza? That's only because nothing is left. But if you have some of the shirayim left, only a little bit of the shirayim went missing between the kmitza and the aktara. I feel Rabbi Yeshua moida. Even Rabbi Yeshua will be moida that you can continue and follow through with the aktaras kmitza. The Tanya Araya Rabbi Yeshua Imer kala zvachim shebeteira. As long as you have a kazayas basar or kazayas chaylev that's left over from the carbon before the zrika, you can continue with zrika's dam. So you see, as long as you have something left over, Rabbi Yeshua's maida, you can still follow through. When did Rabbi Yeshua say you cannot follow through with the avoid, you can't proceed? If the whole shirayim went missing, if the whole basar and amurim went missing. But if you have a kazayas, you're still good to go. What happens? Kechatzi zayis basar, kechatzi zayis chaylev. If you only have a hatzi, what's basar? Basar is nachal kahanim. The chaylev is nachal mizbeach. So it can be mitztarif a chatzi zayis basar, which is achilas adam, and chatzi zayis chaylev, which is achilas mizbeach. You mitztarif to kazayis and say you can be zarek the dam still according to Rabbi Yeshua. Says the Gemara, no, ain't a zarek adam. You cannot be mitztarif achilas mizbeach and achilas adam. Iba oila, I feel like chatzi zayis basar, chatzi zayis chaylev, zarek adam. You can mitztarif it k'mshem neshba oila kula kalil because they're both achilas mizbeach. Uba mincha. And what about a mincha? Aval pishakula kayemes lo yizroik. Even if the ganze zach is kayem, lo yizroik, you can't be zayrik. The Gemara is asking, whoa, what's this last line mean? Mincha ma'avirita. What is mincha doing over here? Yeah? Uba mincha. We didn't talk about a mincha in this brisa. Rav Papa minchas nesachim. We talk about a mincha that comes with karbonis. Right? So what happens if from the zevach, from the actual carbon, there's nothing left, not basar, not emurim. According to Yeshua, right, you can't continue with the avodah. But what happens if you have a type of carbon, lamashal, a oiler, a shlamim needs nesachim, needs libations, wine libations, and it also needs a mincha. Okay, so what happens if you lost the entire carbon before zrikas adam, but you still have the mincha? Is that okay? Is that enough for the kohen to be able to continue with the avodah. So I would have thought because it's coming together, this mincha is a chayv that comes together with the zevach. So if that's left over, even though there's no basar and amurim anymore, you could still continue with the avodah. Kamash malon, it's separate. It's not going to help if you have a part of the mincha left over, even if you have the whole mincha left over. But if that mincha comes together with the zevach and none of the basar and the amurim are left over, you can't continue with the zrika according to Rabbi Yeshua. Okay, says the Gemara. So what do you see in this brisa? In this brisa, it's clear like Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan says as long as you have a kazayas basar, Rabbi Yeshua will hold. You can continue with the avodah. Now Rish Lakish says that it won't help to have a kazayas, right? By mincha, even if it's missing a little bit, it's already over. You can't continue. This brisa is clearly a riot to Rabbi Yochanan, b'das Rabbi Yeshua, and a kasha and Rish Lakish. Says the Gemara, man the pasal. What's he going to say by mincha? If Rabbi Yeshua is clearly stating that by a carbon, as long as you have kazayas basar left over, you're still good to go, you can continue with zrika, the Chayyim Mincha also hold like that. So how could Shlokish argue and say Rabbi Yeshua will not allow you to do the aktara if you're missing even a little bit of the mincha? Says the Gemara, Shani Hachar, Rabbi Yeshua holds over here is different, but mincha is different according to Shlokish. The Amikra, Ve'er Makayim Min HaMincha Es Azkarasa, Ve'hikter HaMizbecha. HaMincha, says HaMincha, which is next to the hikter. Right, the word mincha appears literally 3 words away from the hikter. You have to have the whole mincha. It's mamash a pasuk. So even though Rabbi Yeshua will tell you if you have a kazayas basar left over, you could still continue with zrika by the animal, but by mincha it's different because by mincha has a drasha. It's not going to help to have a little bit shirayim left over, even if you have a kazayas shirayim left over. It says mincha the isa l'kula mincha lo yakter. The haktar has to happen when the mincha, the entire mincha is present. The idach. How's Rabbi Yochanan? What's Rabbi Yochanan do with that pasuk? He says, no, it says mina mincha. You forgot the other word. Mina mincha. Mincha shoyse kvar. It doesn't have to be that the whole mincha is around b'shas aktara. As long as you started off with the mincha shleima, even if you lost a little bit, you could still continue with aktara as long as you have some left over. Eisavei, says the Gemara, Eisavei Rabbi Yochanan l'Rish Lakish. Okay. I had a Maisa last night. I don't know if I could say it on camera, but I had a Maisa, a murdig Maisa. It happened to me last night after the shiur. I went home and I was a little bit upset about a certain situation. הייתי כועס כמעט נכשלתי בעשר לשון הרע. כן? כמעט. מה מנע אותי? מה קרה שלא דיברתי? זה לא בזכותי. Right as I'm about to speak, I get a call. חבר שלי בארץ ישראל. זה כבר הבוקר אור, שמה. הוא בדרך לשחרס, באוטו, וזה, calls me. I begin talking to him and he's telling me about very inspiring piece of Chafetz Chaim and Lichas Shmiras HaLashon that he learned. I got the chills. I got a message. And I felt so validated by Hashem. I said, Hashem, you love me. You watch over me. You know, we learn, Ayin Roya, Oizen Shamas.
I had something very similar, I'll tell you after.
Yeah, בסדר, אבל רק אתה... Yeah? Ayin Roya, Oizen Shamas, בכל מעשיך בספר נכתבים, right? I always thought, wow, scary. Mamish, Ayin Roya, Oizen Shamas, whew. Last night I felt a warm feeling. Hashem is looking after me. He's watching me. You know, it gave me a very warm feeling inside. It made me feel seen and cared for. Now I was about to speak Lashon Hara, doctor. I wasn't Bolatai.
No, because the rest of the day you're on the right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
סימונים מן השמיים.
הוא לא רוצה שתפסיד את היום הזה. כל היום הזה היה בקדושה, הוא לא רוצה שתפסיד את היום הזה.
תודה רבה לך, ואני אגיד לך מה שהנשיא ושולם כותב, ויקרא אל מוישה וידבר השם אליו. He asks, what's the repetition? ויקרא אל מוישה וידבר השם אליו. ויקרא השם אל מוישה, ויקרא אל מוישה. מה זה וידבר השם אליו? אז הוא כותב, he writes, he says that the aleph is small. ויקר means, it happened. מקרה. Like Bilam. It's not small aleph. Nasi v'sholem omer, vayikor el Moshe. Whatever happened to Moshe, vayidaber Hashem elav. Hashem was talking to him. In kaze davar mikre. כל מה שקורה לבן אדם, הקדוש ברוך הוא מדבר אליו. זה דברים. Hashem talking, you know. So I was thinking of the Gemara in Sanhedrin, we learned, in Daf Yomi, we learned, Nebuzaradan laid siege on Yerushalayim and he's about to leave. He couldn't penetrate the walls, the Chayma. He turns around, he overhears a child reading a pasuk. And the pasuk had to do with the Churban. He says, boom, Simim and Hashemayim, he came back, he was able to penetrate and destroy the Beis HaMikdash.
So Haman also, when he went down, he went to a bacher who was reading the parsha of, I think it was a mincha. So he says, that little mincha that he was learning Torah from destroyed my whole plans.
Yeah.
With 600,000 was it?
Oh, he was learning Menachos. They were learning Menachos.
They were learning Menachos.
Gewaldig.
And he got that. He got that simcha Haman. Got that simcha
Wow.
from a bacher.
Wow.
It's the same thing.
So Amor Digazach, Psukli Psukech, you see the Chazal where, even if you overhear a conversation that's relevant to a specific situation in your life, that's also a message. That's a message. Passively, if you go past a person and you hear a comment and you're struggling with a certain situation that pertains to that comment, יש משהו בזה.
כל יום כתוב ויקרבו ימי יעקב למות, נכון?
ישראל, ויקרבו ישראל למות, כן.
למה יקרבו ימיו? יקרבו חיי ישראל למות. למה ימי...
שאלה טובה, כן.
אומר אור החיים הקדוש בפרשת ויחי, שממש אדם לפני שהוא נפטר, נכון, פתאום יום לפני הוא מתעורר כזה, או שעה לי,
כן.
כוח מזה, הוא אומר, כל הניצוצות של כל הימים באים.
כן.
כל יום הוא בא עם התיקון שלו.
כן.
כל הימים באים.
כן.
ויקרבו ימי ישראל. כל הימים באים ביום הזה.
כל ימים שלו.
כל הימים באים לעשות דין וחשבון. כל יום הרי אתה עולה, הנשמה עולה למעלה, אומר אור חיים, היא אומרת, ככה וככה עשיתי. אז כנראה שהיום הזה היה לך כל כך הרבה בקדוש, שהשם לא רצה שתאבד את היום הזה.
וואו.
היום הזה בסוף נקרב, היום הזה הוא...
You know what I say?
היום הזה שווה $1 מיליארד. היום הזה...
Yeah.
So they had to, every single move they had to make
Unbelievable.
would have to be with sharp razor.
Yeah, ככה, באמת.
אני חושב על זה ככה, כל יום זה יהלום.
יהלום.
השם נותן לך יהלום כל יום.
כן.
עכשיו, בן אדם שעושה עבירות מפסיד את היהלום הזה. כל
נכון.
היום הזה מפסיד אותו.
נכון. אין ספק. כן.
אז השם לא רצה שביום הזה אחד תפסיד את
כן.
היהלום הזה.
כן, ומצינו ברש"י ברישס, רש"י אומר שהקדוש ברוך הוא לקח חנוך, לקח אותו לפני הזמן שלא יושפע לרע. He is going to be mafsid as olam. Now, I say that's why Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck, because he was a big advocate for the Jewish people, for Israel. And then he started shifting. Hashem said, תיקח אותו עכשיו. ככה זה הפשט שלי. Makes sense based on a Rashi, yeah. Why not? The shot in the neck also, in the place where the speech comes out from. Yes. Yeah. He was Chassid Umas Ha'olam, but then he was veering. He was getting influenced by bad people. Interesting, very interesting. אבל יש סימנים היום, יש סימנים מן השמיים שצריכים you know, I was telling you about the fox showing up. Yeah. You can't always decipher what, you can't decode always, but sometimes it's very obvious. Yeah. Okay. Esvei Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Okay, again, Rish Lakish says that if part of the mincha went missing after the kmitza before Aktara, yeah, so you have to stop the avodah. You can't continue. So Esvei Rabbi Rish Lakish, Ad Shaloi Pirka, Nifras. We're talking about the lechem apanim on the shulchan. Okay, so if part of the lechem apanim went missing, let's say a piece broke off, nishbar and nechsar, ken. So what happens before the kohen removes it from the shulchan? Halechem pasol ve'im maktel osa bezichan. You can't take the bezichan onto the mizbeach. Ve'im mishapirka nifras lachma. But if he already removed the lechem apanim of the shulchan, halechem pasol maktel osa bezichan. Then it's taka pasol kahanim can't eat it. But you could still continue with the Aktaras Levaina. Rabbi Lazar said, Loi Pirka Mamish, it doesn't mean that the Kohen actually removed it from the Shulchan. Elo, even if he actually didn't remove it, but the time came to remove it, which is the 6th hour Chatzos by Shabbos. Still, it's nechshav as if it's removed, and if part of the bread broke off and went missing, you could still be makter the levaina. So what do you see from here? So by the way, it's interesting because the lechem aponim seems to be compared to Menachos, right? We compared the siluk bezichin from the Shulchan is parallel, corresponds to kmitza. And just like kmitza has to be nikter on the mizbeach, the bezichin levaina also has to be nikter on the mizbeach. So it's very interesting. And the lechem aponim is the shirayim. So the whole case is parallel to mincha. And what do you see from here? That even if part of it went missing, right? If it's a giyaz mana lefarek, part of it went missing, you could still continue with the haktaras halavaina, not like Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish says, no, I'm mani Rabbi Eliezer. You're right. I'm going with As Rabbi Yeshua. This is Rabbi Eliezer, not a kasha. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yechon said to Rish Lakish, no, I'm minulach mishnah shleima. Shleima over here means stama. I'm giving you a mishnah, a brisa, that is stama, which means it l'chayra fits with everybody. Yeah, even with Rabbi Yeshua. Va'amrit li'at, and you're limiting that brisa to say Rabbi Eliezer, that it's Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, my area nifras. According to Rabbi Eliezer, why does it have to be that higia zmana, or no, that's nifras, that it broke off? I feel a sorrow of avod. Even if the whole lechem aponim went missing, got burnt, or it's lost. Nami machshir, Rabbi Eliezer is also machshir. None of it has to be left. According to Rabbi Eliezer, he holds l'mashal by zvachim that after Kabbalah's dam, before Zrika, if basar and the emurim went missing, the whole basar, the whole emurim, you could do Zrika's adam. So to over here, why, if it's Rabbi Eliezer, why does the brisa say it's only nifras? Even if the whole thing went missing, it should be okay. Ishtik. Rish Lakish was quiet. Silence. Now, I don't know if you remember. We learned Baba Basra together, yeah? And Daf Samach Beis in Baba Basra, there are 2 stories over there. One happened between Rav Kahana and Rav, and another happened between Rav and Abaye. And in both stories, yeah, Rav was silent and Rabba was silent. Yeah? Rav Kahana asked a question, Rav was silent, and Abaye asked Rav a question, Rabba was silent. And in Amud Aleph, Gemara says Rav was silent, must be was Moida to Rav Kahana. Amud Beis, where Rabba was silent, Abaye realized that he just ignored him. He wasn't Moida. How do you know when shtika is a haidah in the context of a conversation between 2 Amoraim or 2 Tanaim, or shtika is a dismissal? Yeah, exactly, ignoring. How do you know? Comes Tosfos and Machbezim at Aleph and Bavasra says, depends who the Amoraim are. If they're equals, if it's a Talmud Chaver, like Rav Kahana to Rav, or in our case, Rish Lakish to Rabbi Yochanan, then if one of them is quiet, it means they're moida, because they're contemporaries, right? It's disrespectful to ignore, right? It's not like you're so much greater than the other. You should have responded. So that shtika is taken as a haidah. But if Rabbi raised Abaye. Abaye was not a contemporary with Rabbi. He wasn't a Talmud Chaver. Abaye was a real Talmud. So Rabbi didn't owe him an explanation. Rabbi, one of the ways he taught Abaye is by ignoring him, dismissing it. And Abaye could have figured it out himself. So there, it's not a haidah. So, Abaye and Rabbi? They were bar pluktas, but they weren't. He wasn't a Talmud Chav. Talmud Chav means he was close to an equal.
That's like Rish Lakish
Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan were closer to equals than Hagam. Rish Lakish is Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan, but it's Talmud Chaver. It's called a Talmud Chaver. Yeah. That's Tosfos' general rule. So here we have an ishtik. Rish Lakish is quiet. So the Gemara is assuming, Gemara's understanding correctly, that Rish Lakish agreed, he was stumped, so to speak, and he had to be Maida. Yes. Gemara says, V'amai shasak, why didn't Rish Lakish answer? Why was he Maida? He could have answered. He had a good answer. Lei malei, he could have said, why are you asking me from the Shulchan the Lechem Aponim? Tzibur Shaini. You know why by the Lechem Aponim you could do the Aktaras Bezichin even if part of the Lechem Aponim is missing? It's not like a regular mincha, because over there it's a carbon tzibur. Hoil v'ishra tumah lagabai, you see there's certain kulas that apply to tzibur. Right? So hoil v'hutchel tumah b'karbanas tzibur. Hutch ishtri nami chasras. So you also have a kula that if part of it is missing, part of the shirai and part of the lachem apanim is missing, you could still follow through with the aktaras bezichin. But a private mincha, avada not. If part of the shiraim went missing between the kmitza and the aktara, you can't go and be makter it. Wow, must be from the fact that Rish Lakish didn't answer that, this chilik, must be that chasrus is not like tumah. Yeah, you can't be makel on that. It's like balmum. And just like a carbon that's a balmum is never mutter, even if it's letzoyrech carbon tzibur, right? That we don't find the kula there. So a chasrus, a case of chasrus, is like a mum. And therefore, there would be no differentiation, no chilik between tzibur and yachid. Yosef Rav Papa, V'kom lo shmaitza. Rav Papa repeated this whole conversation with Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan. Reason why Rish Lakish couldn't answer that over here it's a tzibur by lechem apanim is because even their own argument was talking about a tzibur, the minchas ha'omer. So in Mela, there would have been no nafkamina, and that's why Rish Lakish stayed quiet and he agreed to Rabbi Yochanan that if part of the mincha went missing between kmitz and aktara, he could still follow through with the aktara. Amar Rav Malkiyai Tana Chada state in one brisa. There's going to be a kash on Rabbi Yochanan who says you can follow through. Tana Chada is solta. Yeah, you should take the kmitza from the solta. Solta means from the soilas. Shem chasra kolshu. Solta with a hay. Shem chasra kolshu psula. Yeah, you have to have from the isurin of the soilas shalah, from the solta. It has to be completely there in order for you to do the haktara or the kmitza. Umishamna shem chasra kolshu, that if it's missing a little bit, right, from the shloik shemen, pasal, it's also pasal. V'tanya idach nocha braysa v'anoiseres min mincha. Yeah, prat lamincha shechasra hi v'shechasra kumtza v'shlo yiktem v'nasa klum. You see that if you have a part of the mincha that's missing, the shiraim went missing, part of the shiraim went missing between the kmitza and the aktara, the halacha is that you can't go through with the avoida. So you see not like Rabbi Yochanan. Why? Because trei kroi b'chasr slamali. What are the two psukim? You two psukim is solta and vaniseres. Why do you two psukim to teach you the same halacha that it can't be missing? Lav chad lamincha shechasr koidu kmitza. That if you brought soilus in isarin from your house and you put in a klisharis before the kmitza and it went missing, that you're not allowed to bring from your house another soilus and fill it up. Yeah, that's one pasuk. The chad l'shiraim shechasr mikmitza l'aktara. And the other pasuk is teaching you that even after the kmitza, if part of the shiraim went missing, you can't go follow through with the aktara. But you have to Rabbi Yochanan. And really, Rabbi Yochanan said in both of these cases that it's okay to refill it from your house before the kmitza, and it's okay to follow through with the aktara even after kmitza if some of the shiraim went missing. So it's a kasha Rabbi Yochanan b'tervayu. Says the Gemara loy, not a kasha. Why? Because I'll explain to you what the pasuk with the brisa means. Chad lemincha shechasr koydem kmitza. One brisa is talking about you're right. Mincha shechasr koydem kmitza. It's possible unless the maybe meisa elena and the iloi loy. Doesn't mean you can't bring from your house. The psul that the brisa is talking about is if you don't fill it up from your house. But if you go to your house, back to your house, and you fill it up, whatever was missing, then it's kosher. So it's not a kosher Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan also says it's possible until you do it, but you could still do that. The Chad and the other pasuk is talking l'shiraim shechasr mikutz l'aktara. The afal gav the makter koymetz alein alein oisin shiraim asurin la'achila. Avada you can follow through with the kmitza, with the aktara, But the reason why the brisa says it's possible is because Rabbi Yochanan also agrees that the shiraim will always be asur ba'achila if part of the shiraim went missing before the aktara. But it's not to say you can't be makter; you can still be makter it.
So what do you call that mincha? That mincha is, it doesn't accomplish anything though. Even though you can't eat it, so it has to be like posel. So it goes on, it's kosher for achilas neveach.
Yeah, but not achilas adam. The shiraim can be achilas adam. Yeah.
The mincha has to be brought again.
Yeah.
So all you accomplish is putting.
Is that true? Does it have to be brought again? Is that true? Because the achilas kahanim is ma'akav, you're saying, if they can't eat it?
We had that before.
Yeah.
And there's no kapara. The achilas kahanim acts like a kapara.
Uh-huh.
But at least
I see. The question is, we have to bring again according to Rabbi Yochanan. Interesting. I'm not sure. It's a good shiloh. Yeah, Toys asks an interesting question. If the shiraim is osir ba'achila, then it's ki'ilu lo nishtayir klum. Then you have nothing. So how can you be makter koimetz? Even Rabbi Yochanan agrees.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's an interesting question, no?
Well, the Tosfos is going to more extreme. It's like it's not there.
Yeah, it's like not there because you can't do anything with it. So what is it? It's not worth anything. Yeah. So then it's like lo nishtayir klum, and then you can't do the Aktara. Circular reasoning. Right. Yeah. So Taisa says, an interesting term. Taisa says, you're right, you can't do anything with it, but mincha is learned from karbonis. And by karbonis, as long as it's be'en, it would be okay. So by karbonis, the only problem, right? When does Rabbi Yeshua say that you can't follow through with the zrika? It's only if the entire basar and amurim are missing. Right, but if it's there, if it's be'en, then it would be okay, even if it's nitma, even the mashal if you can't eat it. So by mincha also. Okay. In other words,
same thing. But
yeah.
It does slow all the balim. The balim don't get any credit for it.
Right, but it's not considered as if l'nishtayir klum. That's the point. Yeah.
But again, you have to repeat the whole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's your point. Your point is.
By korban, you have to repeat.
Correct. I see. Yeah.
So the same situation should be by mincha.
Yeah. Right. Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure on that point, but you have to bring another one. Pashtus, you do. You're right. Okay. The boilu. Okay. L'divrei yo'omer shirayim shechosim v'gizal aktor makti koyim tzlain oiz shirayim man ba'achila. Amazir makro v'neseres lo neseres man neseres. You're not allowed to eat it. Rabbi Yana Omar mina mincha shayse kvar. No, you could eat it. He's matir shirayim ba'achila as well, because as long as it's mincha, it was sholem at some point, then that's okay as well. So neseres is mincha. It's not called neseres mina neseres, because it's called neseres mincha shayse kvar. And therefore it's mutter ba'achila. Okay, so the Gemara, a big chiddush that what?
Because you're going in past history. Because presently, it's possible.
Presently, it's why is it possible? Why is it possible? If it's chas for a little bit, it doesn't passel the mincha. We wanted to say it's asur ba'achila because of a pasuk. Because the pasuk says you can only eat the neseres, but not neseres mina neseres. Right? One is neseres from the kmitza, and now you have another neseres from whatever was lost. So you cannot even neseres mina mincha la'aron elabanav belongs to the kahanim, but neseres mina neseres that not. That's why there's a bezunder halacha why it's asur b'achila, not because it's possible. Yeah. So it could be that you don't have to bring another mincha based on that. That's the shayla. Rabbi Yochanan says if it's missing part of it, it's not poigim the mincha at all. Why can't you eat the shirayim? A pasuk says that whatever you can only eat the neseres, but not neseres mina neseres. Neseres from the kmitza, but not neseres from the kmitza and the neseres from what was lost. Question is, if the kahanim are not going to eat it, is that complete? In other words, you want to say maybe if the kahanim can't eat it, then it's not bailam iskaprim, or the bailam is not yotzi dei chavosai. Yeah. Rabbi Yana says that he could eat it. Okay, kamatz b'smail. The Mishnah said that if the kmitza was done with the left hand, it passes the mincha according to Tanakama. Manan mili Reb Zera, the Amar Kra, v'yakrev v'samincha v'yamalei chapoy mimeno. Okay, we're talking about the mincha. He should fill his palm from the kmitza, from the mincha. Any day mahu. Now I'm not sure if it's the yamonis or smallest, the right or the left hand. Once the Torah says by the Metzora, where the kohen pours the shemen into another kohen's hand, it says kaf hasmolis. Now it spells out smolis by kaf. So can smolis might be only over there. It's smolis. So kol mokum shenemer kaf ain't el yamin. When it's kaf stam, it's yamin. When it's small, the Torah is going to explicitly tell you kaf hasmolis. Over here by mincha. Doesn't say smallest. Must be it's a min. Gemara says, what do you mean? Maybe it's not coming to exclude that every other time it's Yamin. Maybe every other time you could do either one. But here the Torah is makbid, it should be dafka the smallest. But how do you know from this smallest that every other time when it says kaf stam it's only Yamin? Maybe every other time it's both. And here the smallest dafka. Gemara says you're right. Smallest achwina ksiv. There's actually smallest twice over here. So if it doubles down, that means the extra smallest is teaching you. Yeah, it's ma'akiv that everywhere else you taka need Yamin, dafka Yamin. When you have two miyutim, two negatives, it's a positive. So maybe even by the Torah, you should be able to use the yamin if it says small twice. Gemara says, you're right, smallest achwini ksiv. There's a third time in the parasha where it says smallest. And once the Torah says smallest, ve'ein achar smallest. So that is coming to teach you that it's only yamin by the others. Ve'ein adar abba makan smallest, abba almanami smallest. Maybe you should use it as a binyan av. Yeah. Abba smallest ksiv, it says 4 times smallest. Trei ba'ani, by Mitzayra of Anani, or Trei by Mitzayra Asher. So you combine all those 4 and you come out with the halacha that stam kaf in the Torah, by mincha, at least in our subject, in our sugya, ve'yemale chapay mimeno is kaf has hayamonis. I'm sorry, kaf hayamonis. Omer le Reb Yirmiyah le Reb Zeiro. Al boyin yodei hayamonis, al boyin raglei hayamonis. Chsiv v'shem de Mitzayra, lamali. Why do you need? Why does the Torah have to tell you the boin yodeh amonis, boin ragle amonis? Yeah? Why did it have to say yamonis? Why not? Because once I know the dama asham, right? Dama asham. How many things do you spritz on the mitzayra? The dama asham and the leik shemen. So once I know from the Dama Osham that you need Boin Yoda Emonis, Boin Ragle Emonis, so just say the Shemin is not on that Boyin. Why does the Torah have to before say again Hayamonis? So the Gemara says Chad Lahachshir Tzadin V'Chad Lifsoil Tzidei Tzadin. The tzdadim are kosher. If it just would have said Yamonis by the Dama Osham, I would have said it has to be mamish on point. Yeah, the tzad of the tzipoirin, right here, the tzad of the tzipoirin. It can be even on the sides.
Yes, but it says the bottom.
The chad lifsoil tzidei tzadin. Yeah, the bottom is no good. So the Shemen Mitzayra is passeling Tzidei Tzadin, the Tachtoinim, on the bottom. And it says by Oni na Osher, just say, okay.
He brings down from the locus, if you're washing around with the old, it should be directly on the dam. Rashi says it should be put on the dam directly, and so the Rambam should be, or it could be applied next to the dam.
Oh, it's going on the dam?
This is what the Orthodox says.
Uh-huh.
Both psukim.
Uh-huh. Okay, Mirz Hashem, we'll see this again. We'll start again from here tomorrow, Mirz Hashem. Okay, so Daf Yud tomorrow. And Yud Aleph, I'm going to do over the phone, Mirz Hashem. It's Thursday. Yeah, hopefully Motzei Shabbos also we can do over the phone. Okay, Shekayach Doctor.